Hello and welcome to our final presentation. Our program is called Optimal Outcomes and we're excited to share what we've come up with.
We are focusing on the focus group of children with oppositional defiant disorder. And oppositional defiant disorder is categorized as extreme noncompliance, negativity, and unwillingness to cooperate with adults or peers, and as well as follow directions. There's a bunch of different definitions for ODD, but that's one of them. So some symptoms of ODD may include having frequent temper tantrums, arguing a lot with adults, refusing to do what an adult asks, always questioning or refusing to follow rules, as well as doing things to annoy or upset others, including adults and their peers, and blaming others for one's own mistakes and misbehaviors.
So for context, ODD typically begins by the age of 8, and it is estimated that 2 to 16% of kids and teens have ODD. While this might seem like a very small amount, people don't realize how destructive it is to families and how much it can add difficulty with maintaining healthy interpersonal relationships. Also, in younger children, ODD is more common in boys, whereas in older children, it occurs about equally in both boys and girls.
Okay, so why is it important to treat ODD early? So evidence suggests that positive interactions and guidance can help prevent ODD, as well as reduce already reported behavioral disruptiveness. So it's very important just in general to acknowledge the influence and impact people beyond the child with ODD can have. Untreated ODD can actually be a precursor or contributor to other developed disorders. For example, borderline personality disorder, which emphasizes extreme fluctuations in emotion regularity and intense, sometimes black and white thinking. It's a personality disorder. It is more likely to show up with the child that has untreated ODD. Similarly, the irritability symptom that is often present is also a precursor to depression in both boys and girls. Thus, the importance of recognizing and addressing signs and symptoms of ODD early.
People also seem to not realize how big of an impact ODD has on the parents of the child that has it. So parents can endure significant stress in mediating their children's oppositional behaviors. And we really want to include parents in the process of their children's improvement so that they can also learn skills that can help with their kids and ultimately ameliorate the family dynamic. ODD can be a result of biological, genetic, and environmental factors. Thus, it is important to remain mindful that a child is not always the only person responsible for what might occur with their behavior.
So the overview of existing programs, the cognitive behavioral models of intervention, there's a few different types of programs that follows this intervention, one of them being the Incredible Years program. And it emphasizes teaching and motivating children to comply with authoritative directives. So it's more so wanting to just focus on how can a child comply, how can a child obey what authoritative figures are telling them to do. And then the parent management training, PMT, is an intervention method for children diagnosed with ODD that has been studied in many different research projects and all around has come back very effective. It has well-established data for immediate as well as long-term results. And it's based in principles of operant conditioning and focuses on providing parents with positive behavioral management strategies at home. So it gives parents tools to interact with their children who may be struggling with their behavior. And collaborative problem solving, CPS, emphasizes the collaboration of parent-child problem solving, So it makes it a lot less on the child to be the only person that needs to change their behaviors, and emphasizes strengthening skills for both child and adults in their ability to collaboratively resolve conflict.
This is where our own program comes in. For optimal outcomes, we want to focus our target population on families with kids between the ages of 5 and 12, and we don't discriminate against any demographic. The target population would include both the children and their parents, and this is because we believe that focusing on interdependent healing between the child or parent or the child and whoever they may be with is extremely valuable, and it does not only place the responsibility on the kid, as we don't find that to be productive. So we're choosing to focus on the group of kids with ODD because we believe that ODD does not need to add as much of a problem to the life of a child as it can, and it should not hinder their success and their ability to thrive in life, and furthermore should not impact the outcomes of those affected, including their family members.
So, is this a one size fits all program? No, but there doesn't need to be. So, optimal outcomes understands that with different families comes different dynamics and different needs. According to one research study that we looked at called The Parent-Child Relationship and Post-Treatment Child Outcomes Across Two Treatments for Oppositional Defiant Disorder, this research article shows that the temperaments within the household are extremely important in determining the best treatment style to address ODD. For example, for families where both parents and children struggle to exhibit warmth towards one another, collaborative and proactive strategies, CPS, what I spoke about a couple slides ago, appears to be a better method of treatment than parent management treatment, which is relatively productive for families that foster parental warmth. So that's a big indicator on how you want to approach an intervention. And with optimal outcomes, we want to make sure that we could address all families' needs, regardless of how they need to be addressed.
What will the program look like? We would like to emphasize the importance of learning appropriate behaviors and emotion management at the earliest age possible. So implementing some kind of behavior therapy under the guidance of therapists and other mental health professionals would be ideal in fostering better outcomes for children with ODD. Parents would also obtain help through counseling on how to support their children better and in a way that will not exacerbate or make their defiant behaviors worse. We believe that the structure of our program would be best as a hybrid of both one-on-one interactions with their counselor, as well as children meeting together in a classroom setting with other kids in order to put what they've learned into play. This would ensure that the children would get their own individualized support through therapy and emotional behavior management, but also be able to generalize the skills that they've learned and apply them to any real life settings, such as home, school, hanging out with friends, etc.
So one of the three goals that we're hoping to accomplish with optimal outcomes is most likely the most obvious one is reducing behavioral issues. Our main priority is to reduce behavioral problems and ensure a child can foster healthy relationships with other people, including their parents and their peers and other authoritative figures in their lives, because that is the main conflict in oppositional defiance disorder. And part of this goal entails having a child learn what the repercussions that ODD can bring, and we want to make sure that they're educated on what this disorder could lead to if they do not address their behaviors.
Our second goal is guiding parents in being able to help their children properly. While parents might sometimes think that they're helping their child, in reality, they might actually be enabling undesirable behaviors. So this program would help ensure that this does not happen. And we would do this by allowing parents to meet with their own therapists so that they can learn the ideal skills and approaches from accredited mental health professionals to ameliorate their own dynamics with their children.
And lastly, we want to make the newly learned skills generalizable or transferable, meaning that something that we prioritize is that children with ODD are able to apply these newly learned skills in any kind of environment. Like I was saying earlier, we don't want their behaviors to just be improved with their parents. We also want them to be improved with the peers that they're with and with their teachers. And so this means that they can behave properly in places like school, home, stores, at a friend's house, etc. And a way in which this program allows for generalization of skills to occur is that besides one-on-one therapy, children are also meeting in the classroom, like Mariana said, and this allows them to put into practice the behaviors and skills that they've learned.
Ultimately, we want to give families of children with ODD hope and strength. Optimal Outcomes hopes to provide different response processes that can be implemented to help improve executive functioning of a child and their overall dynamics with their families, peers, and other authoritative figures. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And this is our references. Yay.